Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Rajat Singh, and today we are going to learn about body fluids and circulation. Part 4 is going to be recorded today, and in this part, we are going to learn about ECG. That was the remaining topic from the last lecture, and the second one is the double circulation. Double circulation. Third one is regulation of cardiac activity, and the fourth one is disorder of circulatory system. So these four topics we are going to cover in today's lecture. So first we go over to the ECG. That is, first we write the heading. That is body fluid, and circulation. And the topic we are going to cover in this is ECG. ECG stands for. So first of all, I need to give an introduction of ECG. So you have seen a television show in a hospital which sounds like beep, 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 and that means the patient has gone into cardiac arrest and now patient is dead. So the television show in which you see some waves that are from PQRST and it looks like this. So that is this, like this, like this, and this. So you have seen in a television over there these kind of waves in the television. This is ECG. So what is ECG? Let me explain. So ECG stands for electrocardiograph. If I give its definition, then it can be defined as electrical, graphical representation of electrical activity of heart. So the thing is, in the television, that is electrocardiogram, and which is showing an graphical representation of electrical activity of heart, and in which you see some waves, like the name of these waves are like this. So the first one is P wave, that is Q, R, S and T. So these are 5 waves, so it is from P, Q, R, S to T. So in which each wave explains a different kind of electrical activity of heart. So the definition of ECG is this, and it is known as electrocardiograph, and it is a representation of electrical activity of heart. So what they explain? Actually, each wave has its own significance. Let me explain. So P wave means that is depolarization of atria both. So in heart, you know there are 2 atria and 2 ventricles. So depolarization of atria both, that means the right one and the left one atria are getting contract. So it is explaining, the P wave is explaining the systole. Systole means, the systole term is used to describe the contraction in the atria. So the systole, so it explains contraction of both atria. Okay, so contraction means systole. In bracket I have systole. So it is also known as systole. So depolarization of both the atria is explained by P wave. If you are seeing P wave in the ECG, then it is explaining the contraction, there is no problem. There is no problem in contraction of atria, that is explained by P wave. So next waveform is QRS complex. QRS complex we can say, or QRS wave. So QRS wave or complex we can say. So it explains depolarization of ventricles. So same as depolarization, that means systole. So it is explaining depolarization of ventricles. That means systole of ventricles. So here we can write systole of ventricle. So that is the thing. So the P wave is representing the depolarization of both the atria, and QRS wave is explaining that there is no anomaly, or it is saying that the depolarization or contraction in ventricle is normal. So as you can see, by checking ECG, you can check the electrical activity of heart whether it is normal or not. So the next wave is T wave. So here I write is the T wave. T wave explains depolarization of ventricle. Depolarization of ventricle. So the ventricle are getting depolarized. That means it also explains the end of systole. That means the contraction in ventricle has been completed. Now they are getting relaxed. So you can say the relaxation in ventricle, or it also represents the end of systole. It also explains the end of systole in ventricle. So these three waves are now being explained to you people. So now you understand ECG stands for electrocardiograph. It is the electrical representation of cardiac activity, electrical representation of cardiac heart. And each wave represents something, some electrical activity of heart. P wave is representing depolarization of both the atria, that means contraction or systole. QRS wave explaining the contraction or depolarization of ventricle, and T wave is repolarization of ventricle, that means end of systole of ventricles, or relaxation we can say, or diastole. So this is the thing that I have explained to you. So that covers ECG. Now we come to the next topic. Next topic is our double circulation. So let me explain it to you. Let me run. So here we come with our next topic, that is double circulation. Actually, I have explained this topic in our last video. So now I am just going to be making a schematic diagram. So basic understanding of you. If you have not watched my previous video, go and just check it out, because I have explained this double circulation in my previous video. So here I come with diagram. So all you need to just revise. If some people don't know, they can also write it down. So double circulation is the entering of blood into heart twice in a cardiac, in a circulation. So actually the thing is, if we talk about heart, that is our heart, this is our heart, okay? So, and this is our lungs, and lungs so these are our lungs, and these are body tissue. So the thing is, veins collect deoxygenated blood from body tissues, and that comes to heart, and heart comes again that deoxygenated blood towards lungs, and the lungs make that blood oxygen convert into oxygenated. That means the deoxygenated blood get oxygenated by lungs by dissolving some oxygen, because we are continuously breathing and we are exchanging oxygen with carbon dioxide. We are exhaling carbon dioxide and inhaling oxygen. So the thing is, so in that way breathing is also accompanied, and in this breathing also helping just collecting oxygen, and that is getting dissolved into blood. So I am going to explain how this double circulation works. So here we go. So this is our right atrium, this is left atrium, right ventricle, and this is left ventricle. Now you understand what I am trying to say. These are the basic chambers of heart. Okay. So here we go. So first blood comes from deoxygenated blood comes from body tissues, and that enter into right atrium. So here I am writing, this is deoxygenated blood. So that is deoxygenated blood because oxygen is required for respiration by the cells and the body tissues. So now all the oxygen has been used in the respiration process, and now the blood is now deoxygenated blood, and it need to be oxygenated again. So the body tissues are sending deoxygenated blood to heart by the help of veins. So here I am writing my veins. Okay. So veins are collecting deoxygenated blood from body tissues, and then that is entering to right atrium. And again the right atrium, the blood come into right atrium to right ventricle, and then right ventricle pump that blood to lungs. Okay, so lungs. So that is carried by deoxygenated blood by pulmonary vein. Pulmonary means, here I am writing pulmonary vein. Okay, so the vein carrying deoxygenated blood is pulmonary vein, and that is also deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood. So the next thing is, now the lungs are carrying oxygen and exchanging oxygen with CO2. So the lung is the organ which is exchanging gas, is using for gaseous exchange, and now gaseous exchange, it is dissolving oxygen into blood, and now the deoxygenated blood is getting converted into oxygenated blood, which is carried out by actually it is pulmonary artery. That is pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. Okay, so that is pulmonary artery, and now the oxygenated blood comes out from lungs and enter into left atrium. So here I am writing, it is oxygenated blood, which is entering into left atrium, and that is by pulmonary vein. So here I am writing pulmonary vein. Is that clear? So pulmonary vein is carrying oxygenated blood, and the pulmonary artery is carrying deoxygenated blood. So that is a kind of exception which you will not see in our everybody, because every time vein is collecting deoxygenated blood, and oxygenated blood is carried by arteries. But this is the exception where you can see the pulmonary artery is carrying deoxygenated blood, and oxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary vein. Is that clear? So again that left atrium send blood to left ventricle, and that left ventricle blood, here I am coloring it with different colors so you can understand. So that with blue color, so that oxygenated blood is going again to the body tissue. So here I am writing, that is oxygenated blood, oxygenated generated blood which is carried by aorta. So now you understanding the blood is coming heart twice. So that is the terms double circulation means, because heart is pumping blood twice, and this is known as double circulation. So this is the basic diagram you can understand by watching this. So I hope you understand the term double circulation. What does it mean? So now we come to the next topic, that is our regulation of cardiac activity. Actually, so our next topic is regulation of cardiac activity. So here I am writing the heading first. So here I am writing regulation of cardiac activity. So actually, you have also experienced by yourself that when we start running, our heartbeat rises. The standard heartbeat is 72 to 75 beats per minute. But actually, when we come from running, we see that our heart is beating faster than the normal beating. So, and whenever we are in rest position, we are lying on the bed, that heartbeat drops a little bit from 72 beats per minute. So that is known as the regulation of cardiac activity, and the cardiac activity is regulated by a brain center, that is medulla oblongata. As you can see here, I am making diagram. So that is the part of medulla oblongata, where you can see medulla oblongata is the part of hindbrain. So you can see the hindbrain and the midbrain is the part of midbrain, medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata, where it has. So here I am writing the name. So that is medulla oblongata, and here we have many centers, and it has many centers. Example, cardiac center that regulates our heartbeat, cardiac output, and much more. So here you can understand the medulla oblongata is the part of hindbrain, and it is the part of midbrain actually, and finally this is the part of hindbrain, that is cerebellum. So medulla oblongata has many centers, and one of the center is known as cardiac center, which regulate our heartbeat and the cardiac output as well, and etc. So here we go. So two type of fibers are coming here, and as I draw the diagram of heart over here. So here you can see this is our right atrium, left ventricle, and right ventricle. So here you can see we have SA node over here. SA node is sinoatrial node, or we can say this is a nodal tissue, specialized nodal tissue, which is responsible for generating action potential, and which is carried again further by AV node, that is atrioventricular node. So here I am writing this is SA node, or pacemaker of heart, pacemaker of heart, and this is our AV node, that is atrioventricular node. So this is a specialized nodal tissue which is responsible for generating action potential. So here we go. So let me explain like this. Some kind of nerve are coming from medulla oblongata like this. So medulla oblongata, some kind of nerve are coming toward SA node, and the names are like this. This is actually sympathetic nerve fibers. So I am writing sympathetic nerve fiber, And the next one which is coming is I'm just trying to draw it with some other color, that is like this, that is parasympathetic, parasympathetic nerve fiber. So you can see two type of nerve fiber are coming, and as you know, the nerve fiber are in the form of neurons, and neuron basically have a neurotransmitter, and based on that neurotransmitter, they are just regulating our cardiac activity. If it is parasympathetic nerve fiber, then the neurotransmitter is adrenaline, and if it is parasympathetic nerve fiber, then the neurotransmitter which is going to be act on acid node is noradrenaline. So adrenaline and noradrenaline are regulating our cardiac activity by the sympathetic nerve fiber and parasympathetic nerve fiber. So here I am writing. Parasympathetic, sympathetic and parasympathetic, sympathetic. So the neurotransmitter which is involved in sympathetic is adrenaline, and the neurotransmitter which is involved in parasympathetic is noradrenaline. So the thing is, adrenaline is just increasing our heartbeat, and along with increasing our heartbeat, our heart start pumping more blood, and the cardiac output also increases. So that is the work done by the sympathetic nerve fiber. So again I am writing heartbeat increases, and here heartbeat decreases, cardiac output increases. I have also explained the cardiac output. The cardiac output is the stroke volume multiplier per minute by 60 seconds. So every second. So the cardiac output is equals to the stroke volume to the heartbeat. So in a particular heartbeat, how much amount of blood are pumped by blood is our cardiac output. So cardiac output is the total amount of blood which is pumped by blood per minute. So cardiac output is decreasing over here, and cardiac output that is decreasing. So as you can see, the sympathetic and parasympathetic are working antagonistically. So that means one is increasing heartbeat and cardiac output, and the other one is decreasing cardiac output and as well as heartbeat. There are some other factors also which are regulating our activity. That is actually, you already people know that endocrine system is also hormonal system which is also regulating our cardiac activity, and there is an organ known as adrenal gland. So adrenal gland is also secreting hormones like epinephrine and norepinephrine, which are also other names of adrenaline and noradrenaline. They are also regulating heartbeat. So the thing is, they are not acting on according to the nerve fiber. Actually, they are secreting hormone into the blood, and the blood which is getting flowed to heart. So the heart vessels have some baroreceptors, which baroreceptors are sensitive to those hormones which are secreted by adrenal gland. So here I am writing, so secretes hormones into blood like epinephrine and norepinephrine. Which are, you can write, which are stimulating the baroreceptor, which are present in the walls of vessels of heart. So they are sensitizing those receptors and which are also regulating the heartbeat or cardiac output. So the hormonal system in which the adrenal gland is also responsible for regulating the cardiac activity of heart. So that's what I want to say. So I think that you have now understood the thing. So let's come to our last topic, that is disorder of circulatory system. So this is our last topic of this chapter. After that, this chapter is going to get completed. So I hope now you understand everything. I have completed every single topic from this chapter. If you have any doubt, you can ask me anytime. So the disorder of circulatory system. So here I am writing disorders of circulatory system. So disorder of circulatory system, what I mean by that? Actually, there are some disorders that are explained by NCERT. First one is CAD, that is coronary artery disease. So in this disease, actually there are two types of disorder. The first one is atherosclerosis and the second one is the arteriosclerosis. So let me explain. So the first one is atherosclerosis and the second one is arteriosclerosis. So the basic difference in that is first you need to understand, if I have a blood vessel, that is coronary artery. If I am talking about vessel, I mean to say that is coronary artery. Coronary artery are collecting and sending blood to heart. So actually these are the special vessels which are involved in circulation of blood oxygenated. Actually heart is also an organ. So that need to be oxygenated and deoxygenated continuously because they are continuously working since we are born. So such kind of vessels are called as coronary artery vessels, and I am talking about coronary artery, the disease which are associated with coronary artery. So in this, so you can understand like this. So if this is your artery, coronary artery I am talking about, so you can see there is a plaque over here that is reducing the size of the lumen, which is affecting our blood flow. As you can see, the lumen size over here is larger, but due to the plaque, deposition of plaque, so deposition of plaque is causing the lumen size is narrowing. So that is the obstruction between the flow of the blood. So that is why. So here we come atherosclerosis. So atherosclerosis, if the plaque is made up of, so if plaque is made up of cholesterol only, that is atherosclerosis. And if the plaque is, if it is made up of calcium plus cholesterol, if it is made up of calcium plus cholesterol, then it is known as arteriosclerosis. So these two terms are very similar to sound, but actually they both are different. So if I am talking about cholesterol, then it is atherosclerosis. If I am talking about calcium, then it is arteriosclerosis. So this is the blood vessel, you can understand by this. So blood flow is getting limited due to the obstruction made by the cholesterol. So that is why cholesterol is removed from the diet of the heart patient. So you can understand by this. So again, now another one is hypertension. So the hypertension In hypertension, if I am talking about BP, the blood pressure. So actually the blood pressure is like this. So the blood is flowing like this in the blood vessel. So this is the blood vessel. So this is the blood vessel, and the blood is pressurizing the wall of vessel. So as you can see, the pressure exerted by the blood towards its wall is known as the blood pressure. So if I talk about the normal blood pressure is 120 to 80 mmHg. Hg stands for mercury. Actually, the blood pressure is measured by the instrument called sphygmomanometer, and that in which the mercury is present. And the 121 is the standard limit for systolic, that means for contraction, and the 81 is for diastolic. So here I am writing is systolic, and this is the diastolic. So if the blood pressure rises, so how it's gonna rise? Actually, it's gonna rise. Actually, if it's gonna rise, the pressure of the blood vessel rise, so it may rupture the blood vessel and may cause hemorrhage in the vessel. So now you understand that the blood vessel of brain are hair-like; they are very thin. So if a slight bit of increase in blood pressure over in those blood vessels, they may cause a brain hemorrhage. So that is very serious disease. It can be life-threatening. So the blood pressure is explained by this, and if the blood pressure rises above 120 to 80 mmHg, then it is hypertension. If the blood pressure get lowered below this limit, then it is hypotension. Hypotension means the blood pressure is reduced. So again, another disease is angina pectoris. Angina pectoris, you can understand it by, due to lack of oxygen, heart muscles are continuously pumping blood and they are not getting enough oxygen. So due to not getting enough oxygen, it is causing acute chest pain. So that is angina pectoris. Angina pectoris is nothing but acute chest pain. So the next disease I am going to talk about is cardiac arrest, heart attack. How it is different from heart attack? So actually, cardiac arrest, it means when the heart stops beating, then this is a case of cardiac arrest. Actually, if I talk about how it is different from heart attack, actually heart attack, in which due to the continuously lack of oxygen, heart muscles are continuously pumping the blood, and due to lack of oxygen, heart muscles are getting damaged and that are causing heart attack. So in this heart muscles are getting damaged due to lack of oxygen. So due to lack of oxygen, they are damaged by continuously working. They are damaged due to lack of oxygen. So that is heart attack. So you have also seen in some patient are getting heart attack twice, thrice, and every time they survive. So actually the thing is, in which part is the heart attack occurs. That part get damaged, and the rest of the part is alive and they are continuously pumping blood, so that is why that patient survives. Actually, sometimes the single heart attack may cause death because the ventricular part is the main part that comprises of highest musculature of our total heart. So that is why if the heart attack come in that artery or vein that is associated with the ventricular musculature, then that patient is not gonna survive. So that is the thing. So cardiac arrest is when the heart stops beating and the heart attack is like getting heart muscle are getting damaged due to lack of oxygen. So that is infarct arrest. So I have explained all the four circulatory disorder which are explained in your NCRT. So here this chapter come to an end. So I hope you enjoyed every topic which I have taught you. So thank you very much. If you have any doubt regarding this chapter, you can ask me anytime. Thank you.